and a very warm welcome. It's 9 PM IST and we are coming to you live from the WION headquarters in Noida, India. My name is Molly Gambhir and this is Gravitas. Will Russia and the NATO start World War III? Is that where things are headed? As part of our top story tonight on Gravitas, we tell you about Vladimir Putin's latest warning to the West and what it means. We also ask, is the Ukraine Peace Summit doomed to fail? Also on the show for you tonight, as the Gaza war intensifies, how long before we have a solution? How many more lives will be lost? Who will be in the Modi government 3.0? That's the question doing the rounds. What is on the wish list of the allies? We get you up to speed with the very latest. We also tell you all about the ultimate dirty war playing out on the Korean Peninsula, with the balloon wars leading to ballooning tensions between North and South Korea. All this and more coming up tonight. Will Russia and NATO start World War III? I'm asking that question because both NATO and Russia are sending out dangerous signals. Let's start off with Russia. President Vladimir Putin has warned that his country would not rule out using nuclear weapons if its sovereignty or territory were threatened. Now, of course, this will not be the first time Putin has made such a warning. But you see, it comes after the West has allowed Ukraine to use long-range weapons to strike deep within Russia. In his first face-to-face meeting with editors of international news agencies since the Ukraine war started, Putin said the West was wrong to assume that Russia would never use nuclear weapons. He warned that the Kremlin's nuclear doctrine should not be taken lightly. When asked about the NATO chief's calls to allow Ukraine to use Western weapons to strike Russian territory, Putin differentiated between different missiles. He warned that allowing Kiev to strike Russia with ever more powerful weapons would be considered a serious escalation, drawing the West towards a war with Russia. He also outlined what a Russian response would look like in case the NATO did not pay heed to the warnings. He promised a tit-for-tat response. He said that Russia would shoot down the Western missiles. He also warned that Moscow may deploy similar high-technology long-range missiles close enough to strike the Western states.
For some reason, the West believes that Russia will never use nuclear weapons. We have a nuclear doctrine. Look what it says. If someone's action threatens our sovereignty and territorial integrity, we consider it possible for us to use all means at our disposal. This should not be taken lightly, superficially, but professionally.
But where would Putin deploy such missiles? He did not specify. But that is exactly why the Russian president's warning cannot be taken lightly. You see, Putin's statement came after US President Joe Biden authorized Ukraine to launch some American-supplied weapons to target Russia. To be clear, Washington still prohibits Kiev from striking Russia with ATACMS and other long-range US-supplied weapons, but US's allies in Europe are calling for the US to lift the ban on Ukraine striking Russia with long-range weapons. They say that Ukraine has the right to use the weapons provided by Britain to strike targets inside Russia, and it was up to Kiev whether to do that or not. America's allies, in fact, have insisted that providing weapons and equipment to Ukraine does not make them party to the conflict with Russia. They maintain that there should be certain restrictions on their use. Last month, however, as Russian troops started advancing towards Kharkiv, Ukraine once again started to demand the relaxation of those rules. A UK-led pressure campaign in Europe eventually resulted in Washington complying with Ukraine's wishes. Now, this is what Russia would call an escalation. You see, since before the war started, Russia has outlined its red line in the war. Ukraine cannot be allowed to use Western weapons to hit Russian territory. For Russia, Western weapons being used to strike deeper into Russia would be seen as NATO's direct involvement in the war. In the 2 years, as the red line kept getting blurred, Russia kept warning the West to be careful. From arming Ukraine with Javelin and Stinger missiles, US graduated to supplying HIMARS rocket launchers, then M1 Abrams tanks, and soon the coveted American-made F-16 jets will be supplied by other countries to Ukraine. For now, long-range strikes, including from ground-launched ATACMS, remain off the table for Ukraine, a sign that the Biden administration is still wary of avoiding a direct conflict with Russia. But with the latest green light, as the NATO crossed Putin's red line? It's too soon to say. So far, the Russian president has not followed through militarily on the promises to punish the West for its support of Ukraine. But how long will Putin hold back is the real question. What are his red lines? We don't know. On Wednesday, as Putin spoke to the press, he outlined once again the Russian response to long-range strikes. According to the Russian leader, Moscow would respond in two ways. Number one, by boosting air defenses and destroying these Western missiles. Number two, an asymmetric response. Putin said that if the West deems it possible to send such weapons to the war zone, Russia will also send similar weapons in striking distance of the West. Lastly, Putin warned that if the West continues to escalate, it will completely destroy international relations and undermine international security. Russia has framed the Ukraine war as a proxy conflict between Russia and NATO. Over the course of the war, he has referred to red lines numerous times. He has, in fact, even gone as far as suggesting nuclear action if there was an existential threat to the Russian state. Though this has been undefined, the threat still looms, at least in the eyes of the NATO countries bordering Russia. This is what prompted Russia to issue a series of threats that Moscow will attack NATO directly or use tactical nuclear weapons within Ukraine. For now, Putin has rejected claims that Moscow would want to attack NATO as nonsense, but it is precisely because Russia has made such threats so many times that it has made it easier for Ukraine's allies to cross Russia's purported red lines again and again. You see, Russia has been brazen in the war, but it has also been cautious by not directly engaging the NATO forces. He has warned, but has not escalated the current conflict beyond Ukraine's border. He also has never introduced nuclear weapons on the battlefield. But with escalation from both sides dragging out, can the conflict in Ukraine still spin out of control? Will it become World War III? Will they resort to the possible use of nuclear weapons? Speaking of which, is the Ukraine Peace Summit doomed to fail? I'm asking that question because later this month, Switzerland will see leaders from over 100 countries coming together to discuss Ukraine's 10-point peace plan. But then here's the thing. Russia is not invited. You heard that right. China does not plan to attend. US President Joe Biden will not be there either. much to Ukraine's disappointment. So the immediate question is, how successful can this meeting really be if the key stakeholders of the war are not present? But that's not the only challenge, by the way. The 10-point peace plan says that Russia will have to abandon the territory it has occupied in Ukraine. Right now, Russia is not interested in negotiating along those lines. Any peace proposals coming out of Russia are predicated on Russia keeping what it has already seized. Moscow, in fact, has said that it is ready for peace, provided that Ukraine accepts the changed realities on the ground. But then this is not new. Ever since a set of negotiations began shortly after the war in 2022, neither warring party has been interested in a compromise. Ukraine says that it has international law on its side. Russia, for that matter, says it has superior force on its side. And what's more, having occupied large parts of Ukrainian territory, Russia is now in the midst of a new offensive in Ukraine. Fierce fighting is underway in at least 3 fronts in Ukraine. So in short, Russia has not slowed down its offensive, but Ukraine does not have enough troops or weapons to continue fighting. And many experts believe that the Kremlin is convinced that a stalemate will either undercut Ukraine's will to resist or its allies' willingness to maintain military and monetary support. Indeed, Russia's recent battlefield victories have reportedly prompted Western officials to push harder for a ceasefire. The push for a ceasefire now being driven by 3 reasons. What are they? Number 1, the West is running out of weapons to give Ukraine. Number 2, Ukraine's front line is collapsing and it is at the risk of losing everything. Next, Russia has shown it can sustain a long war. Also, very crucially, the risk of nuclear war is great. There may be no political support for a ceasefire right now in Kiev or Moscow, but sooner or later, the warring parties as well as Ukraine's key ally, America, will have to come to the talking table. And Biden's absence in the upcoming Ukraine Peace Process Summit is bad optics. A disappointed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has already described it as a gift to Russia. But we'd say that even the snub to Russia makes no sense, which then brings me back to the question, is the Ukraine Peace Summit doomed to fail? And a solution is needed not just for the war in Ukraine, but also for the one being fought in Gaza. This is a war that is bursting on the seams. It appears now that it is only a matter of time before another front is opened. Yesterday, we told you how an all-out war could break out between the Hezbollah and Israel. We also told you how tensions are unlikely to die down until a peace deal or a ceasefire deal is agreed upon. That now appears to be a tall ask. What we are seeing on the ground is an escalation of the violence. Today, a school in Gaza was struck. This school in Nuseirat was run by the United Nations. Israel claims the school had a Hamas compound, and that is why Israeli fighter jets struck the facility. Here's what happened next.
We are displaced in Al-Kastal Towers. My son called us at 2:30 in the morning to say that Ahmed had been martyred. They hit him with a missile in the classroom in the school. He is the youngest one of my sons and my dearest.
Israel claims that it killed Hamas fighters who were involved in the October 7 attacks. Now, this school is not the only facility that Israel attacked overnight. Israeli defense forces say that they have hit a Hezbollah observation post near the Lebanese town of Qiyam. The IDF, in fact, has released footage of the strike. And this comes after Hezbollah launched drones into northern Israel, and Hezbollah rockets set ablaze wildfires again in northern Israel. And there's also been escalation at sea. The Houthis say they have targeted 3 vessels. Where all? In the Red Sea and in the Arabian Sea, which is a first, by the way. Never before, since the beginning of the Gaza war, have the Houthis struck a ship in the Arabian Sea. Initially, the attacks were confined to the Bab el-Mandeb, the Gulf of Aden, and the Red Sea. But now, after taking their war to the Indian Ocean, the Houthis have started attacking ships in the Arabian Sea. The group claims it attacked Merck's Seletar with a number of drones in the Red Sea. The Houthis attacked a ship named Rosa and another named Vantage Dream. These vessels were targeted using missiles and drones. The Houthis have reiterated that they will continue fighting in support of the people of Palestine till the Gaza war ends.
With the help of Allah Almighty, the Yemeni armed forces will continue to carry out their military operations in support and solidarity with the oppressed Palestinian people until the aggression stops and the siege on the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip is lifted.
In Lebanon, the Hezbollah also vowed to continue fighting till the Gaza war ends. So, is there an end in sight, is the immediate question. There is definitely a ceasefire deal that Biden has laid out, which he claims is an Israeli initiative. We told you about this. But if that is also the case, one wonders, why haven't the Israelis come on board yet? What Biden essentially is proposing is a 3-phased ceasefire plan. The first phase of this plan proposes a 6-week ceasefire, and during these 6 weeks, Israel's army would have to withdraw from the populated areas of Gaza. Hamas would have to release Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Gazans would be allowed to return to their neighborhoods. Trucks carrying humanitarian aid would be allowed into the enclave on a daily basis. And then comes the second phase. During this phase, Hamas and Israel would negotiate terms for a permanent end to the hostilities. The ceasefire would continue as long as the negotiations continue. The third phase will concentrate on a permanent ceasefire and the reconstruction of Gaza. After it was proposed, Hamas said it views the plan positively. Israel's far-right cabinet members, on the other hand, warned the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu against accepting the plan. And the way things stand right now, there is no commitment from Netanyahu. And Hamas has added to its demands. It's now demanding a permanent end to the war in Gaza and Israeli withdrawal as part of the ceasefire plan. In fact, Israel says fighting would not be halted during the ceasefire talks. And as the back and forth continues, bombs continue to fall on Gaza. Let's now shift our focus to India. 2 days after the Lok Sabha election results saw the BJP lose ground, the role of the allies in the government formation has become crucial. And the allies are well aware of their importance and are ready to demand a bigger share of the pie in return for their support. Reports suggest that the top NDA allies are demanding key positions in the new government. With plans underway for Narendra Modi's third swearing-in ceremony this weekend, the question on everyone's mind is, what will the Modi government 3.0 look like? Who will be in the government? What's on the allies' wish list? Which ministries is the BJP okay to let go of? What really are the allies demanding? You see, New Delhi is awash with rumors, the kind that is typical of Indian politics. So let's just take a look at what the BJP's partners are looking to get. According to Indian media reports, the BJP is unlikely to compromise on the key ministries. These are the Home Ministry, Finance Ministry, Defence Ministry, Law, IT ministries, as well as the Railways Ministry. What's on the wish list of the top allies, such as the TDP then? It's reportedly eyeing the post of Speaker in the lower house of the Parliament, the Lok Sabha. Hoping to steer the government at the national level, Chandrababu Naidu is keen on 7 to 8 cabinet berths. These include road transport, rural development, health, housing and urban affairs, agriculture, water, education and finance, MOS. The other key NDA ally is Nitish Kumar-led JDU. And it has reportedly demanded 3 to 4 cabinet berths. These include railways, rural development, agriculture and defence. Nitish Kumar's party also has its eyes on 2 MOS posts. So as you can see, the top allies are hankering for plum portfolios in the new cabinet. Will the BJP budge for the sake of its top allies? For now, let's look at what the other allies are demanding. BJP's ally from the state of Maharashtra, the Shiv Sena, has reportedly sought 1 cabinet and 2 MOS posts in the new government. Shiv Sena won 7 seats in the Lok Sabha and is being seen as a crucial ally for the BJP at the centre. Meanwhile, with a 100% strike rate in the state of Bihar, the Chirag Paswan-led party is keen on 1 cabinet post and 2 MOS posts. BJP's Karnataka ally, JDS, is also eyeing a post in the NDA government, that is the agriculture portfolio. The latest development suggesting that the BJP will draw the line on at least 4 critical ministries: Defence, Finance, Home, and the Foreign Ministry. The BJP, in fact, has promised big and bold decisions in the next government. The Modi government is also expected to be more assertive as far as its foreign policy is concerned. Therefore, the role of the Home Ministry and the External Affairs Ministry will be crucial for the BJP to carry out its plans. For those of us in India, the situation is reminiscent of an era before 2014, when Modi swept to power with an outright BJP majority. Before 2014, alliance partners haggled for positions and benefits in exchange for supporting coalition governments. With the swearing-in likely to take place this weekend, hectic parleys are underway in the national capital. There were many surprises, also setbacks in the parliamentary election in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. On one hand, Jammu and Kashmir created history with over 58% voting, breaking records of the last 40 years. On the other hand, it also came as a setback for 2 former chief ministers who lost the elections by a huge margin. Our next report taking a closer look.
2 former chief ministers, 2 shock defeats in Kashmir. Mehbooba Mufti lost to National Conference's leader Mia Altaf by over 2.8 lakh votes. Umar Abdullah suffered a bigger reverse at the hands of jailed independent candidate Engineer Rashid. Sheikh Abdul Rashid, also known as Engineer Rashid, is a former MLA from the Langate Assembly seat of North Kashmir's Kupwara district. Engineer won the seat twice in a row and heads the Awami Ittihad party. Engineer has been in Delhi's Tihar jail since 2019 in a terror funding case. The first mainstream politician arrested under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Even as an elected MLA from the Langate Assembly seat, Engineer was seen as a separatist sympathizer. Conceding his defeat, Omar Abdullah said on the day of the results, he didn't believe Engineer's victory will hasten his release from prison, nor will the people of North Kashmir get the representation they have a right to. The next day, Omar shared a quote from a story on social media that read, Rashid's victory without doubt will empower secessionists and give Kashmir's defeated Islamist movement a renewed sense of hope. Efforts to draw secessionism back into electoral politics led New Delhi to support the rise of the People's Democratic Party and its alliance with the BJP, however, ended up empowering violent secessionists, not mainstreaming them, a warning of the unpredictable outcomes of trying to manipulate politics. Another surprise win was that of independent candidate Haji Hanifa Jan, who won the Ladakh parliamentary seat. Haji was the district president of the National Conference earlier in Ladakh. He decided to go alone in this parliamentary election as the India bloc fielded Namgyal. In 2023, Hanifa had lost the Kargil elections for the borough constituency in Kargil by just 66 votes. And after Omar Abdullah decided to field a different candidate from the Ladakh seat, Haji decided to fight solo. Also, environmentalist and educationist Sonam Wangchuk went on a 21-day-long hunger strike demanding statehood to Ladakh. All these incidents combined are said to have played a role in Haji's win. On social media, Omar Abdullah congratulated his former party member. I'm really very happy for you today. A few months ago, you tasted defeat in the Hill Council elections and now you will represent Ladakh, especially the marginalized people of Kargil in the Lok Sabha. Your victory cost the National Conference its Kargil unit, but it was well worth the price. Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh have 6 seats in total, out of which 2 have been won by independents, while 2 in the Kashmir region have been won by NC leaders and 2 in the Jammu region have been retained by the BJP.
And now we look at a rather interesting trend in Japan. Japanese workers' base pay jumped by the largest margin since 1994. And this is a sign that corporate pledges to offer wage increases are starting to take effect. Still, market players appeared unconvinced over the strength of the trend. Our next report breaking it down for you. Take a look.
For Japanese workers, base pay rose 2.3% from a year ago in April to drive up nominal wages by 2.1%. Despite the slew of improved figures, pay continues to lag inflation. Market participants appear to latch on to weaker than expected growth in cash wages and data that avoid sampling issues. The yen weakened back past the 155 mark against the dollar after recent gains. According to experts, the findings provide further evidence to the Bank of Japan that a positive feedback loop between wage hikes and demand-led price increases could be nearing completion after hiking rates for the first time since 2007 in March. The central bank is waiting for more evidence of the trend before doing so again. Masada Koike, economist at the Sompo Institute Plus, told Bloomberg, BOJ governor has indicated the possibility of a policy change if he is convicted of the trend. Koike added if nominal wages are expected to increase driven by base pay and inflation is seen stabilizing, the bank will be more likely to move even if real wages remain negative. The BOJ meets next week to decide on policy. The most favored view among economists was for the bank to wait until October before raising rates. But expectations for an earlier move have risen since then. This is partly due to the continued weakness in the yen, which threatens to stoke import price growth. Wednesday's data reflects the results of this year's pay negotiations, in which workers secured an average wage increase of over 5%. This marks the largest gain in 3 decades. The report showed that salary growth was evident across various sectors spanning from manufacturing to services. Wage gains resulting from annual pay tend to be reflected gradually in workers' paychecks from April through the summer. Nearly 40% of this fiscal year's increase will be implemented by April, with this figure rising to 80% by July. Still, Japan's wage figures have long been criticized for inconsistency. Many analysts prefer to focus on a subset of data that avoids sampling issues that have affected the headline numbers over the years. Business Bureau, WION World is One.
Our next story is about the ultimate dirty war. It involves trash and is now getting even more dirty and filthy. Yes, I am talking about actual trash, by the way. North Korea started launching hundreds of balloons carrying trash on South Korea last week. This happened for real. I'm not making this up. Personnel in hazmat suits were seen collecting piles of rubbish containing everything from cigarette butts to bits of cardboard and plastic. It's literally a filthy war. South Korea called the provocation from North Korea irrational and low class. Now, in the latest, the balloon wars between the two Koreas have intensified. According to activists in the South, they sent balloons carrying anti-North Korean propaganda over the country's border. The Free North Korea movement is a group of North Korean defectors. It is led by North Korean defector Park Song-hak. Park's long-running balloon activities have caused furious protests from North Korea. You know what the North's state media previously called Park? I'm quoting, "human scum without an equal in the world," quote unquote. Now, as per South Korean media, the group says it sent 10 large balloons filled with what? Leaflets critical of the Kim Jong-un regime, US dollar bills, and flash drives loaded with K-pop. To be more specific, 200,000 leaflets condemning the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, 5,000 USB sticks containing South Korean music videos and television shows, and 2,000 $1 bills. As per the activist group Fighters for a Free North Korea, or FFNK. You know what the message of the group was? Kim Jong-un sent filth and trash to the South Korean people, but they are sending truth and love to their fellow North Koreans. This, by the way, is not the first time something like this is happening. The group had earlier sent balloons carrying about 2,000 USB flash drives containing songs by South Korean singer Lim Young-woong, as well as other K-pop and K-dramas into the North on the 10th of May. And this reportedly triggered the latest round of rubbish-filled balloons coming in from the North. In fact, groups like FFNK have been sending these kinds of balloons for years, carrying items prohibited in North Korea. In May, North Korea responded by sending balloons back south containing trash, soil, pieces of paper and plastic. And now, with this latest twist in the balloon wars, fears are floating in the air that the North could resume its dirty campaign. North Korea had warned previously that it was prepared to send 100 times the quantity of toilet paper and filth that it had used to target the South. Let me just say that again, 100 times the quantity of toilet paper and filth. The ballooning tensions cannot be taken lightly. Things are getting dirty and messy, quite literally. Which way do they go from here? A lot remains up in the air. There is no end to US President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden's legal troubles. Junior Biden's federal trial on gun-related charges took a personal turn as two of his former partners, his ex-wife and ex-girlfriend, took the witness stand. The case is historic as a first in which a sitting US president's son faces a criminal trial. Our next report getting you the complete story.
Hunter Biden's former girlfriend testified Wednesday at his criminal trial about his near-constant crack cocaine use. Prosecutors are trying to prove that he lied about his drug addiction to illegally buy a handgun in the first trial of a U.S. president's child. Zoe Keston told jurors Hunter Biden would want to smoke as soon as he woke up and spent days in hotel rooms getting high in the months before his 2018 gun purchase. Earlier, Hunter Biden's ex-wife Kathleen Buell, who divorced him in 2017, also testified about how she first discovered he was using drugs. Prosecutors claim Hunter Biden knowingly lied about his drug use on screening paperwork. He has pleaded not guilty to 3 felony charges accusing him of failing to disclose his use of illegal drugs when he bought the gun and of illegally possessing the weapon for 11 days. Hunter Biden has publicly acknowledged his past drug use, though his defense lawyer Abby Lowell has countered that Hunter Biden was not using drugs at the time of the gun purchase and did not intend to deceive. Lowell pressed an FBI agent to acknowledge that prosecutors' evidence of addiction came before or after the gun ownership. The trial follows another historic first, last week's criminal conviction of Donald Trump, the first former U.S. president to be found guilty of a felony. Trump is the Republican challenger to Democrat Joe Biden in the November 5th election.
Boeing going gone. That's a line we have been using on this show, and with good reason, of course. Since the start of this year, Boeing has managed to find its way to the headlines every other week almost, and every time with new safety concerns. It's the first week of June, and we already have 2. They say Boeing's planes are a ticking time bomb. Here's a detailed report.
This New York Post article has grabbed eyeballs around the world. The report features 2 new whistleblowers from Boeing. Roy Irvin was a Boeing quality investigator. His job was to ensure that Boeing's Dreamliners were ready to take off. Irvin says, there were times the plane had safety issues and was not fit to take off. But Boeing demanded that Irvin gave a green light to the plane. In short, the quality investigator was asked to compromise on the plane's quality. Remember John Barnett? He was the first Boeing whistleblower. Barnett had worked with Boeing for over 30 years. At one point, he was a quality manager at the North Charleston plant, where the 787 Dreamliners are built. Barnett had said there were some problems with Boeing's oxygen system. What's more, workers were fitting substandard parts into the aircraft in order to meet deadlines. Irvin claims he had worked with Barnett. 62-year-old Barnett was found dead in March. This was days after he had given evidence in a whistleblower lawsuit against Boeing. In May, another Boeing whistleblower, Joshua Dean, was found dead. Dean had revealed that there were manufacturing defects in Boeing 737 MAX. Despite these deaths, more employees who worked on Boeing planes are now speaking out. Roy Irvin says he did raise safety concerns even when working with the American plane maker, but nothing happened. The former Boeing employee told an American news outlet, missing safety devices on hardware or untightened hardware means that you're not going to be able to control the airplane if those fail. In short, Boeing is playing with death. Santiago Paredes is the other whistleblower. He was once working at Spirit Aerosystems. This company is one of the many suppliers of Boeing. Paredes says he was surprised at what he saw when he joined Spirit Aerosystems. There were hundreds of defects on the production line. Fasteners were missing. There were dents in some parts. Some parts had damages. What did Paredes do? He raised the issue with his superiors, but Paredes was asked to keep quiet. He was even asked to limit his report. Employees at Spirit Aerosystems reportedly nicknamed Paredes Showstopper because his notes on defects would often cause delivery delays. Paredes told the media, "Everything I was seeing was like a ticking time bomb." In the last few months, Boeing's safety issues have become the talk of the town. From a plug door blowing out to a tire falling off mid-air and planes landing with parts missing. From its fuselage, airlines around the world have reported freak accidents involving Boeing planes. Airlines have also reported parts missing from the planes. Where does all this leave the future of brand Boeing? It was once America's blue-eyed boy, one of America's biggest soft powers. Where is brand Boeing now? Up in the air?
Time now for Gravitas Recall. It is the 6th of June. You must have heard of D-Day. It unfolded on this very day, back in the year 1944. D-Day refers to the invasion of the beaches at Normandy in northern France by troops from the United States, Canada, the UK and other countries during World War II. The operation began the liberation of France and the rest of Western Europe and laid the foundations of the Allied victory on the Western Front. D-Day is often referred to as the beginning of the end of World War II. At the time, the D-Day invasion was the largest naval, air and land operation in history. France was occupied by the armies of the Nazi Germany. Some 156,000 Allied soldiers landed on the beaches of Normandy. By August 1944, all of northern France had been liberated, and in spring of 1945, the Allies had defeated the Germans. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 PM IST, 1 PM GMT.
Namaste. Hello, friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to start again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Pop star Jennifer Lopez cancels her music tour. We tell you why so many artists are hitting a pause button on their concerts. Decode the weirdest celebrity arrests. And find out some rare facts about Johnny Depp as the actor turns a year older. All All this and much more with me, Isha Hanspal, at these times on WION E-Club.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 PM IST, 1 PM GMT.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World is One. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and let's start this broadcast by taking a quick look as to what is making headlines at this hour. The NATO's top general, Christopher Cavalli, has said that the member nations are ready to defend themselves, but they need to build up production of military equipment. A Gaza hospital has said that at least about 37 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli air bombing of a United Nations-run school that the Israeli military claims housed a Hamas compound. But the Palestinians say that a lot of those who've been killed are innocent women and children. A Sudanese pro-democracy activist committee reports more than 150